What's going on, guys? It's King K back again with another video. So the other day I got an email asking me to make a video about the differences between Nigeria and Canada. People want to know the difference if they're thinking of moving, I believe, from Nigeria to Canada. And I decided to make a short list of things that you might want to know before you take that leap, because it's not easy to immigrate to another country that you've probably never been before. You don't have family that lives there, or it's a new opportunity and you're trying to take advantage of it, right? So there's certain things that you might want to know. It doesn't matter if you're moving from anywhere else. It doesn't necessarily need to be from Nigeria. But if you want to move to Canada or you want to move to Toronto, these are things that you should know if it's maybe different from where you're coming from, right? Number one, taxes. Taxes might be different where you're from or where you're coming from, but in Toronto, in Canada, we have taxes. You know, they say there are two things you can't escape: death and taxes, right? So basically, if you're working or if you have a business or if you are an investor and you're living in Canada, you're gonna get taxed. The tax rates are different. You can look that up or you could do some research on that, but whatever you make, you're gonna have to give some part of it to the government. Yeah, that's just the way it is. And I know in Nigeria, a lot of people probably don't pay taxes or they don't get taxed. So when you make, 100,000, you keep 100,000, right? But here in Canada, if you make 100,000, you're definitely not keeping 100,000. You gotta pay taxes, and everything is kind of connected to that tax system too, right? You want to buy a house or you want to lease a car, tax statements are sometimes very helpful in that endeavor when you want to use the credit system, right? So that's one thing that you might want to know. In Nigeria, we don't have that type of system. Most likely if you want to buy a house or you want to build a house, you pay out of pocket. But here, your taxes show the exact amount you declare for taxes or how much you made for tax purposes, and you can use those statements to basically go to the bank and be like, hey, I want to buy a house, I'm looking for a mortgage. What's going to be my mortgage rate? And this is how much income I make. This is the proof basically from the government that this is how much I make. Give me a mortgage. Or I want to buy a car and I go to a car dealership and I want to finance the car, and maybe I might not have income statements from my employment, but they might ask me for like the last 2 years tax statements that I filed as proof that this was how much I declared and this is how much I made. So taxes, man. You make money, you get taxed. That's just the way it is. You can't really escape it, so you got to pay taxes. So if you're not used to that, it shouldn't alarm you, shouldn't surprise you when you come to Canada that, you're going to be getting your tax deducted from your paycheck when you get a job. But, if you pay too much taxes, actually, you do get a refund back the next year when you file for taxes. So that's another thing you might want to look into. Definitely get an accountant if you don't know what you're doing, or if you don't know much about taxes or whatever. It's very easy for you to get an accountant in Toronto. One thing to note, if you are working for a company, they automatically take taxes out, right? So when you go file taxes, your employer is going to send you something called a T4 slip that you can file your taxes with. So the second thing is, like I said, buying a house or owning a house. A lot of people in Nigeria, they own houses or they own some sort of property, or they inherit property, right? But over here, if you want to start from scratch and you move here, there are certain things that have to be put in place before you can buy a house. You can't just, unless you have the money to buy the house outright, which houses are very expensive, especially in a place like Toronto. It might take a while for you to be able to buy a property. Like I said, unless you're moving in here with cash and you got like $500 to $1 million in cash, and just go to a person like trying to sell a house and be like, hey, I got cash. Here's the cash. I want to buy a property cash, right? If you don't have that, you're gonna have to go through a process called a mortgage. Living in Nigeria, I never really came across anything that, related to people buying houses through mortgage, and maybe now it's different, but most people don't go through that method of buying a house or buying a property. They mostly do it with cash in Nigeria. Same thing with buying a car, right? They do it with cash. But Canada is a country where we use something called a credit system, right? So you can get things with your credit. If you have good credit, you can get things without paying the full amount for the things and pay them over time, sometimes or most times with interest being added to it. So we do the credit system here. And when you move into Canada, you have to establish a credit, right? For the mortgage, it's a little bit more complicated. You got to be here for a certain period of time and build credit history and stuff like that before you can go to the bank and be like, hey, I want to get a mortgage out. And you also have to have a source of income that you can prove that you make a certain amount of money that will qualify you for getting that mortgage. So not a lot of people are flush with cash and, just moving to Canada and buying a property or buying a condo. So it does take time. So you got to be ready to kind of like maybe rent an apartment or rent a condo. You got to rent first and kind of get acclimated to the way things work here before you go on and, purchase a house. Unless maybe you're an investor as well and you're flush with cash and you can do something like that, right? So that's another thing that you need to know about moving to Canada. Another thing I like to talk about is the job market, right? Job searching. Job searching could take a while. So when you move here, you might want to have a little bit of some savings because it might take a while for you to actually get a job or a job in the field that you want. Now, I know Nigeria might be a little bit difficult to find a job, but it might be, I would say it's easier to find some sort of job here, and whatever job you're doing definitely will pay enough for you to be able to have a decent life. You know what I mean? As long as you're making minimum wage or over, you should be able to afford, to rent a place. You should be able to afford, in a certain area, you got to move to where you can afford, right? Don't just think that, because you're moving in Toronto, you have to live downtown, you have to live in expensive parts. Unless you have that money and you have that financial capability, you got to go for what's affordable. If you can rent a room first, or you can rent a cheap apartment, or you can live with somebody until you get your feet on the ground, right? You got to find what works for you. But definitely, it might not be as easy as you might think to get a job, unless you get a job before you move here, or you're moving here for that job, right? It's not exactly always easy. Even for people that live here, or have lived here for a while and they're out of a job, it might take a few months. Or if you're lucky, it might take weeks, right, for you to get another job or for you to find a job. So the job market is kind of like, Toronto is a very populated place. So the job market is kind of like, it has its ups and downs, right? You just got to keep searching and keep being hopeful that you'll find a job and, praying. Praying is the thing we do. As a Nigerian, we're always praying that, good things come our way. So that's another thing, right? You got to hope and pray that you find a good job and, keep looking for, jobs until you find something. So don't get discouraged if you just moved here and you still haven't found a job in the first few weeks or months. Sometimes it does take, that long to find a job. And also, you can't be too picky, especially when you got bills to pay, right? A lot of us here in countries like Canada, when we first move here, we get jobs that, can sustain us. It's about sustainability. Jobs that can basically keep us afloat, pay our bills, and give us a starting ground for us to begin our journey in this country, right? So that's one thing you might have to do. Don't get too picky, when you come to Canada and think that, you're just going to automatically land you a job that's going to pay you like $50,000 to $100,000 a year. Even if you're qualified for a job like that, it might not be as easy as you think to get that kind of job. Just putting that out there. Another thing I talk about is basically quality of life, right? I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes it might feel like a trade-off. You gotta trade off certain things for certain things, right? In Nigeria, for example, we have very bad power supply, right? Where, there's not constant power or 24/7 power. But in a place like Canada, we always have power as long as, you're paying your utilities, right? It might be beneficial to move to a country like this, right? Where there's constant power, there's good amenities, good infrastructure, but the quality of life is not necessarily better than Nigeria. Because don't get me wrong, if you have money in Nigeria, you're blessed, okay? If you have money in Nigeria, you can have a good life, you can have a great life and enjoy your money. Okay, moving to a country like Canada, especially when you're established in Nigeria, might be a little bit weird because you might not be able to enjoy your money as you could in Nigeria. There's not much things to really do that, you might enjoy, especially if you're used to a type of lifestyle in Nigeria, moving here and you have to change that lifestyle. You have to kind of, sometimes adapt and, lose your status of what you were there versus coming here. everybody kind of regular, you know, everybody kind of just doing their thing, and you know, it's just normal, right? Versus, you know, if you're for example, a chief, or you know, you're the daughter or the son of a politician in Nigeria or stuff like that, right? When you come here, you pretty much just chill. You're pretty much just normal, you know. Nobody's really gonna give you that, oh my God, your dad is a, nah. You know, you might get like, oh my God, like, you know, that person is rich or they got money, but it doesn't really freak people out like that compared to Nigeria, where when you're rich, like everybody treats you like, you know, you're a king, or you know, you're a queen. You know, everybody just do your bidding as long as, like, you know, you got money, and you know, maybe you can throw some money their way. So life is a little bit different. Like even the clubbing, the partying, you know, we're Nigerians, we love to party, right? The clubbing and the party is definitely not up to par with the kind of partying you can do in a country like Nigeria when you have money, right? Like, you know, throw money in the air and all that stuff, having a good time, having a blast with your friends, you know, popping bottles, you know. It's definitely not the same. I've partied in Nigeria and I've partied here in Canada, and I can tell you that there's a difference for sure in the way people party, right? In the way people do their thing. You know, there's just a little bit more swagger in the way Nigerians party in Nigeria, you know, and the way the quality of life is. Even for families, like, you know, families are a little bit more closely knitted in Nigeria than they are here in Canada. But don't get me wrong, you can kind of structure your family the way you want to when you move to Canada, but it's not going to have the same feel, especially if you're moving away from the rest of your family in Nigeria and coming to Canada, like, or you're moving to Canada alone and leaving your family behind in Nigeria. It can get a little bit isolating, and it can get a little bit, you know, you get homesick, right? But yeah, you know, moving away from your family in Nigeria and coming here, you know, after a while, like, you know, you kind of get homesick, you know. I don't know, there's sort of the benefits of both sides, right? That's why a lot of people, even though they move to Canada, they always go back, you know, to visit family, or just to get a feel of Nigeria, you know, to just, you know, go back and reset. Because when you're in a country like Canada, the mentality is different. We live also in a very politically correct country, so there are certain things that you can't say or express freely, as opposed to Nigeria, where, you know, you just say your mind, you know, your personality is your personality, you just kind of like let it out there. We're very blunt, we're very straightforward, and we just say things like it is. If we like something, we say it. If we don't like something, we say it. But here in Canada, with, you know, the political correctness, you got to keep your opinions to yourself sometimes. You know, you can't just blurt out anything that you feel like saying, because things are structured a certain way here, and you got to kind of like, you know, blend in and adhere to the way things are here versus the way things are in Nigeria. There's a lot of things that might shock you here, that happens here, or that we do here, or you might not be used to, but, you know, give yourself some time. You will definitely find a way to blend in and adapt to the way things are here. When in Rome, you gotta act like the Romans. When in Toronto, the major advice I'd give is, if you're thinking of moving here, definitely consider all the options. Consider if it's right for you. Do your research. Watch videos like this to give you a perspective. You gotta always do that when you're moving somewhere or you're visiting somewhere. Give you a perspective of how the place is, how the people are, and, you know, just get an idea of how it's gonna be, how your life is gonna look like. You know what I mean? It's harder, definitely harder for people that move here without their families. But if you're moving with your family, it might be a little bit easier for you to acclimatize. But don't just, you know, move to a place and like just stick to yourselves. You know, make friends, try to socialize, try to, like, you know, meet new people, connect with people, network with people. It definitely make your life easier. It definitely, you know, give you access to more things, more information than you already have. And it will serve benefits to you. So don't just, like, you know, move here with your family and don't talk to your neighbors, don't talk to anybody, don't reach out to anybody at all, because Canada kind of has a way of being very isolating. If you don't talk to people, sometimes people might not talk to you. Okay, so it might get a little bit isolating. You can basically decide to, like, stay in your apartment, never talk to your neighbors, never talk to anybody, and go a week, 2 weeks, without anybody checking on you or without you talking to anybody, because everybody kind of believes in, like, you know, they respect your space, and they, you know, nobody wants any problems, so they kind of stay on their own lane, right? So that's just the way it is. It's different from Nigeria, that if you don't check on somebody, people might call you, hey, what's going on? Haven't heard from you in a bit. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're okay. People don't really do that here. That's another thing that is different between the quality of life, or rather the social aspect of both countries, right? You might even be able to make more friends in Nigeria than you could make in Canada, because people have different schedules here. People are not as social, in my opinion. Like, you know, it's not a deep type of friendship where, you know, you share meals together, you invite people over to your house, you know, and there's a certain kind of bond that you might have with people. It's not the same here. It's more surface. You know, this person is my friend, but I don't know where they live. You know, we talk on the phone, or we go hang out, we go do stuff, but like we never really chill at each other's houses. We never met each other's families, stuff like that, right? In Nigeria, if you have a friend, you might know their parents, and their parents might treat you like their child, you know, stuff like that, but it's not the same here, okay? Sometimes it might be, like, it depends on the person, and it depends on the type of friendship and how long you've known people, or the way the family is, or the way the person is, and they might introduce you to their families and whatnot, and, you know, you just might feel like you're a part of them, but it's not common. You know what I mean? There's a very surface type friendship thing that's going on here. So thanks guys for watching this video. I just thought I'd share those with you. If you're thinking of moving to Canada, if you're thinking of moving to Toronto, life is different here. You should know, not the same as Nigeria. It's a completely different society, completely different country, completely different vibe. I hope you found this video informative. And if you want me to make more videos like this to tell you kind of like the differences and similarities that Canada and Nigeria has, let me know in the comment section, and I will definitely get to that. All right, guys, take care. Once again, it's been King Kid with this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave comments below in the comment section.